service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line. Betting weekly tennis live. Are you ready for it? Here we go.
Welcome to Betting Weekly Tennis Live in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Giovanni. With me today is Tim Dennis. This is going to be an interesting show because we don't have any in-play action at the moment. There is a 250, WTA 250 in Sao Paulo. Of course, there's no ATP action this week. I think we've got Davis Cup later in the week. We've just had the US Open. There are two WTA tournaments this week, the 250 in Sao Paulo and the 500 in Guadalajara, Mexico. Guadalajara is a bit out of our time zone, really. So there's no live matches there until not for about 3 hours. Sao Paulo did get started today, but it's raining. So we have no in-play action at the moment. We will look ahead to some of the later action, weather permitting, in Sao Paulo and Guadalajara, but it's going to be a bit quiet on the in-play front unless the rain stops in Brazil. Before we get started, we want to get your thoughts and comments. We're also on social media at Because We Win. And if you like what you hear on our shows, sign up for our newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. You can sign up for free at www.bettingweeklystudios.com. Tim, pretty slim pickings this week.
Hi, Rory. Yeah, good news though. They are good news though. They're warming up in Sao Paulo now, so we might have some in-play action starting in about 5 minutes. I mean, it's still overcast and it could rain at any second, and we'd be interrupted again. But that looks a positive start to the show anyway.
Yes, let's hope so. I mean, there's no getting away from it. You know, these tournaments are not the best of the year. What are your sort of general tactics? Do you like this sort of event? Do you form a view pre-tournament? Do you like to bet in play, or is this one to just keep your powder dry on these sort of tournaments?
You could perhaps all three there, really. I certainly like to watch a little bit of the tournament before getting involved, just to see sort of how players are. I mean, there was a good incident there to sort of back that fact up with Tomljanovic yesterday. I think she retired injured after losing the first set, and she actually looked to be sort of making her way into the second set. But then, by the looks of things, how badly she was, only she knows. But I mean, she lost her serve, and then she just called it a day. It looked like she couldn't really be bothered. So motivation is obviously a big key for these players. You get some players who might be defending points here if they've made sort of quarters or semis last year, and yeah, some players are certainly keener to do better than others, I think, and it means more to them. And it's just trying to figure out which ones those are, because I mean, someone's got to win a match at the end of the day, haven't they? So you just got to try to find the right person.
I think before we went on air, and I just caught the end of a conversation you were having with our producer, and you said you had a bit of a bad beat last night. I'm going to drop you in here, but you're going to have to
it's as far as bad beats go, it's right up there. They seem to keep coming a little bit at the moment. I backed. I'll have to tell you. I'll have to check the result with the player's name, but it was, who did I bet? I bet Sanchez in play after I think she was just about to take the second. I think she was up a break in the second set, and anyway, she went on to take that second set, and she led 5-love against the French teenager, and she hit the basement price 101 in running, and she managed to lose the 7 of the next 8 games. She had to lose a tiebreak 7-6. So a bit of a tough one to take, but that's kind of this level. I was watching some of the sort of third set tennis. It was a little bit like watching it down the local club. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was Ana Sofia Sanchez, the Mexican, against, I'm not going to get her name right, am I?
Yeah, right. And so I was actually quite impressed with her. Whether Sanchez was just that desperate, but the French teenager, she's left-handed, good ball striker, and I'd be half keeping an eye on her in going forward. But yeah, Sanchez she was playing not to lose come sort of 5-1, 5-2, and then sure enough, what happened then? Yeah, she ended up losing.
I've actually got her in my notes for one of the matches today, and I described her as a journeywoman. Sanchez. She's been around a little bit. The Mexican.
Yeah,
I think she's left-handed as well, isn't she? If memory
yeah,
serves.
she is. Yeah, both lefties. Yeah, and yeah, some of her. Anyway, it was a tough watch, shall we say? And yeah, a bit of a world away from what we were seeing this time last week.
And I'm sure you're delighted I've reminded you of it just now.
Yeah, it was hard enough saying it once, but yeah, having said it twice, Roy.
Let's have a look at some later matches. Hopefully we'll get started in Sao Paulo soon. I was actually on double bagel watch there because I thought Renata Zarazua might do the business against Luiza Fullana, the Brazilian wild card. And she actually won the first 3 games without dropping a point. So I thought I was in, but then Fullana saved a break point and took the 4th game. But yeah, they went off. It's 4-1. And
they're just about to start again, I think, any minute
are
now.
they?
Yeah.
Excellent. So, yeah, it's 4-1 to Zarazua. Fullana's serving at deuce. I think she saved a couple of break points in that latest game. When they get started, maybe we'll have some in-play betting there. But sticking to Sao Paulo, we're going to have a look at a couple of matches later. Yasmine Mansouri against Alexandra Eala. Obviously, pretty one-sided, this one. Mansouri's just inside the world's top 400. Eala is now 61 in the world after she won the Challenger in Guadalajara last week. Mansouri, $12. Eala minus 3,335. The spread is 6.5 games. Totals 17.5. I mean, Mansouri, she's a fixture on the ITF tours and the odd Challenger event. Should be comfortable for Eala, of course. The prices tell you this. Tim, do you have a strategy for these type of matches where the winner looks obvious, or do you just prefer not to get involved?
Yeah, I'll be honest. It's probably this isn't really my my strong suit. When I was going to ask you the same question, really, because I know you like these double bagel matches and maybe even single bagel matches. So if there is maybe there's a little bit of juice in the handicaps, perhaps if you think sort of Eala can sort of demolish this girl here. But yeah, I was looking for you for a bit of help on this one.
I don't think. I mean, I've seen a bit of Eala. Obviously, she had that great run in Miami earlier in the year where she beat Ostapenko and Keys and Iga Swiatek. I still don't think she's the most reliable. And she's not the sort of player that I see beating lesser players really comfortably. I mean,
yeah,
my strategy.
She's not blessed with a huge serve or anything like that and getting 3-point after 3-point issue.
No, exactly. She's not the sort of player to, what's the word? Bulldoze opponents. She's not going to, completely overwhelm them because she just doesn't have that in her game. So, I mean, with those sort of matches, and it's probably more so with the Haddad Maia match there on your screen, where she's minus $50 against Miriana Tona, the Italian. Mansouri and Tona are both qualifiers here in Sao Paulo. I actually tend to look more at the inferior player and see how they've fared against higher ranked players. So for someone like Mansouri or someone like Tona, see how they've done against someone who's in the, say, top 100. So Tona is ranked just outside the top 400. And with Tona, I actually found back in March, she played Francesca Jones, who actually I think she's playing right now in Sao Paulo and struggling a bit. Jones is sort of ranked 80, 90. They played in March. And Tona is a clay specialist. She plays most of her tournaments on clay. And Jones beat her 6-1, 6-1. So it's not an exact science, but my logic is if she can only take 2 games of Jones, she's going to really struggle against a better player in Haddad Maia. So with Eala, I didn't have a bet. But Haddad Maia against Tona, and this is such a big tournament for Haddad Maia. This is her home tournament. The WTA tour hasn't been in Sao Paulo since I think it's 2000. She's ranked 27 in the world. Um, I think you can pinch a bit on the spread here. I think you can be a bit brave. I looked at Haddad Maia at -8.5 games at +40, and I thought that looked a decent bet because Haddad Maia, unlike Eala, Haddad Maia does have weapons. You know, she does have a good serve. When she's on song, she's good from the baseline. And you know, she's not had a good season, but she did play quite well in New York. So
she's the kind of player, she doesn't give you much either, does she, Rory? She's not prone to dozens of unforced errors, and she chases every ball, and especially with that in a home crowd, she's not going to be lacking motivation, is she?
No, I think this should be. I mean, I picked her on the podcast with Nigel. I picked her to win this tournament because this is going to mean you talked about motivation earlier, and she's going to be very motivated to win this tournament. You know, and you know, she's not had a good season. Now on home soil, home support, you know, I think everything is going for her here. So the bet I liked for that match was Haddad Maia -8.5 games at +140. You can see the spread there's 7.5 games, but I think we can afford to be a bit brave on that. And I wouldn't put anyone looking at the set scores, which some of you will know is a bet that I quite like and have liked down the years. So the odds on Haddad Maia to win the first set 6-love and 6-1. You know, I normally split stakes on the 6-love and the 6-1, or might have a little bit more on the 6-1, depending on the match and depending on the odds. But that would be my kind of thinking for that one. Yeah, it's tricky to find. I mean, sometimes you can find these bets, and sometimes you're kind of, you know, you don't want to force it with these sort of bets. You don't want to just put up a 6-love, 6-1 for the sake of it, I don't think. But I think when you see there's a big disparity in the world rankings, for me, is always a good starting point. But also how the inferior player has played or has fared against better players. You know, are they likely to get run over, for want of a better phrase? So I think Haddad Maia should cover the actual spread 7.5 quite comfortably, and I think she could do a bit better than that.
Yeah, plus 390 6-love first set and plus 280 6-1.
Yeah, see, that would be a little bit short for me, but I can see why it's that price, because there is such a gulf in their ability and their, you know, the level that they operate at. So you can see why those odds are somewhat prohibitive.
Yeah,
but
6-1 is favourite. Yeah, 6-1 is favourite. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 2 second favourite, and then 6-love.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the bookies know, I've got a pretty good idea how this should turn out. And, you know, it's going to be, you know, and if Tona doesn't get a game on the board early, it's going to be really tough for her. So that's my views on those matches there. Shall we look at Guadalajara? Because I think you are interested in a couple of matches there. And first up, Kamilla Osorio against Kamilla Rakhimova. And this is Pick'em, -112 the pair. The spread is 1.5 games, totals 21.5. Now, I'm very much of the opinion Osorio likes slow conditions. She's clay court specialist. Rakhimova would prefer it quicker, and I think she gets those quicker conditions here in Guadalajara. It is at altitude. But one thing I did notice is that Osorio, I think her head-to-head record is 4-love over Rakhimova.
Yes. Yeah, spot on. Yeah, she leads the head-to-head 4-love. 3 of those on clay, and the only time they've met on hard was actually here last year, where Osorio she actually beat her in straight sets, 7-6, 6-2, I think was the final score. Quite a tight first set, but then she went on to win the second set comfortably. And across those 4 matches, like I said, 3 of them on the clay and one here. I think Osorio, she leads the service points 1, return points 1, quite dominant. I think she leads that 110 to 90 across those 4 matches. So a good advantage for her. Just giving up the odd set here or there on the clay, but like I said, winning in straight sets here last year. Rakhimova made the quarterfinals here last year, having previously won the 1-2-5 that Eala recently won. So yeah, she obviously goes well here too. But yeah, I think, like I said, Osorio, she went one better in making the semis. So again, she's a player who goes well here too. And I just thought that if the matches are pick 'em and you've got a head-to-head record of 4-0, I just thought obviously Rakhimova will be aware of that, as will Osorio, and I just thought what was probably a tight match. I thought Osorio should be a clear favourite rather than it being a pick 'em. So for that reason, I thought -112 was probably a bit of value there. So on a tough day, looking to try and find a double, I thought that would be one of them I'd put towards it. I did think about the over games with it potentially being quite swingy, but I think the most solid side I came down on was Osorio, and that head-to-head record really swaying me there. So yeah, I'm happy to stick with her at -112.
So there we go. First official pick from Tim on the show. Camilla Osorio to beat Kamilla Rakhimova at -112. Let's have a look at your other match, Tim. I have to say, I don't have much of an opinion on this one. Polina Kudermetova against Marina Stakusic. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Kudermetova as quite so strong a favourite, although Stakusic, I remember she had a really good, was it Billie Jean King Cup when Canada won it? I mean, Leylah Fernandez led them to victory, but Stakusic played very well too. Kudermetova -155, Stakusic +125. Spread 2.5 games, totals 21.5. What's your thinking on this one, Tim?
Yeah, well, Stakusic, she played in the 125 last week, and she actually lost first round there, but she's played a couple of matches in qualifying so far here this week and come through both of those so far. These two have met once before. Kudermetova won that in a topsy-turvy sort of 3-setter, and that was 3 years ago. But I just thought this might end up going the same way. Kudermetova hasn't played since she played pretty well against Sabalenka at the US Open, losing a tight first set before sort of Sabalenka came through. And I think Stakusic, she made the quarterfinals here last year, and she actually beat Yelena Ostapenko on the way through in 3 sets before losing to Magdalena Frech. And like I said, she's won her opening 2 rounds through qualifying. And I just thought with neither player probably in great form, I'd expect a sort of nervy, tight match here that probably swing both ways. So, I mean, looking at the match, I thought the best way to go with it was over 2.5 sets was +150 earlier when I looked with Bet Rivers, and I thought that was probably a fair way of going. I think they'll both have their moments, but I think both players are finding it difficult to string matches together at the moment consistently. So I just thought, this is probably going to be fairly swingy, and whether you wanted to sort of trade the game in running, but the best way I thought was over 2.5 sets was +150. I thought that was a good way to go.
Okay, it's +148 now, so
slightly short.
Still quite a decent price. Is that an official play, or?
Yeah, we'll stick though. I think if we're going to look to, like I said, a tough day to find a couple. I think if we're going to do a double today, those would make the two. Over 2.5 sets in that match we've just spoken about, and Osorio to come through in her match on the money line.
So there we go. Polina Kudermetova against Marina Stakusic in Guadalajara, and Tim is going for over 2.5 sets at +148. You combine that, you put it in the parlay with Camilla Osorio on the money line at -112 against Kamilla Rakhimova, and they got a daily double which pays +371. So that is the daily double. And those are the
Hopefully
two
we'll get some tennis though. I mean, it's not certain to even happen. I say this event, I'm sure this match will happen, but whether it will be tonight or not is open to debate with the weather.
Yeah, I mean, when Nigel and I looked ahead to both these tournaments a couple of days back, the forecast for Guadalajara looked appalling. I mean, it looked like torrential rain most of the week. So I think they might struggle to get this tournament completed. And Sao Paulo wasn't great either. So, there's going to be some disruption, and there might be, quite a few who are going to have to play twice in a day at some point. So scheduling is going to be very important in both these tournaments by the looks of it. We do have some live tennis. I'm delighted to report in Sao Paulo. They're back on court, and Luiza Fullana has held serve. It's 2-4 now against Renata Zarazua, the Mexican 30 love up in the 7th game of the first set. No offers on Zarazua to win. The spread, though, she's even money, -7.5 games. That could be quite tempting. Got to say, I mean, I think, as I said, I thought this had the potential to be one-sided, perhaps a double bagel. And Zarazua, I think, could definitely open the bakery in the second set. Quite a big difference between the two. I mean, Fullana actually hasn't looked too bad. I did see her serve an ace earlier, but she's operating at a very much lower level than Zarazua. She has pulled it back to 30 all in that game. Fullana now $20 to win. As I say, Zarazua no offers, but there's definitely scope to get involved on the spreads here. As I said, now it's 6.5 games. Zarazua is -162, and now she's won the last point, and now it's +117, -7.5 games. I know Nigel's very keen on backing a player once they've held serve. That's how he likes to do it. And if Zarazua holds serve, she'll probably be even money to cover that spread of 7.5 games. When you're betting and running on this sort of match, what's your sort of? Are you someone who prefers to play the money line above anything else, or would you look at the other sort of the props or the statistics bets?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at handicaps, for example, here Zarazua, if she holds here and goes 5-2, and then you've got a good chance of her breaking to go 6-2, then obviously that's going to be a four game lead, and then you've got the advantage of knowing she's going to be serving first, and obviously with her A being the better player and B serving first, I mean, 2 breaks in that second set will then lead her to a 6-1 victory. So I mean, that stands you in good stead looking forward. I always kind of want to know, because if you can break twice serving first, you're going to be winning 6-1. But if you break twice serving second, it's going to be 6-2. So you've always got to look. It's always a big advantage to be serving first as far as handicaps go, as far as where you're thinking going forward into the handicaps. I think because, like we said, if Zarazua holds here and goes 5-2, but then doesn't break, then chances are she might end up winning set 6-3, and then her opponent will be serving first in that final set. So then that might skew the handicap a little bit. So I think it's always key how you see it and what sort of time they're looking at breaking serve.
Okay, so that's Fullana against Zarazua. Zarazua now has advantage. It's just gone back to deuce. Other matches going on. Pano Udvardi, who reached the final of the Guadalajara Challenger last week, lost in the final to Alexandra Eala. And she has taken the first set 6-2 against Anna Sinclair Rogers of the United States. Udvardi -$20, the Hungarian, and Rogers is +950.
And Jones in a bit of trouble, I think you half saw this coming, Roy, did you? Or?
I kind of did. So, yeah, Francesca Jones against Lina Glushko from Israel. Now, I remember when Nigel and I looked at this tournament on the podcast, and Jones was priced up as the second favourite, and I said that was a horrible price because Jones is a clay court specialist. All her best forms on clay. Away from that, she's very ordinary. I didn't expect her to be struggling in this one, I have to say, against Lina Glushko, but she's a breakdown, 3-5. She's serving 30 love up. Jones still very heavy favourite, -455, and Glushko +330. I wouldn't tell you, I wouldn't mind a little bet on Glushko at the moment, and you can bet Glushko at -132 +4.5 games. As I said, I was really puzzled when I saw those odds for the tournament. Jones was priced up as second favourite. I know it's not a strong tournament. You take Haddad Maia out of it, it's very, very ordinary indeed. But Jones just hasn't done anything outside of clay, so I was very surprised. But I am surprised that she's down in this first set. It's now 4-5, so 5-4. Glushko will serve for the set, +320, the Israeli, and Jones -435. That's the 3 matches going on at the moment. Any in-play angles for you? I'm surprised that still think Jones is far too short to come back in this
I
one.
mean,
She
yeah,
might well
if
break.
Glushko's plus 340, the money line and Glushko, if she holds serve here and wins the set, what do you think she's probably going to be down to? Plus 190? Plus 200?
Yeah, in my head was plus 150, but yeah, plus 190 could be thereabouts. I mean, she's got a hold serve, which in women's tennis is often easier said than done.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a bit of pressure on her, but let's see how she's done. I mean, there've been quite a few. There were, the first 5 games of the match went against serve. They've both held serve twice after that, since that. Yeah, interesting match. I mean, Lina Glushko, she's ranked 389 in the world. Jones is 85. So, on paper, she should win this. But as I say, Jones's form is almost all on clay. So
yeah, she's ahead in the stats there, 105 to 95 so far in that first set. So if she carries on playing the tennis she's played for those previous 9 games, and she should take this this first set.
Yeah, well, she's got a chance to do that. Zarazua did hold serve for 5-2 against Fullana, and Anna Rogers has taken the first game of the second set against Panna Udvardi. So those are the matches in play. Let's go back to Guadalajara and some of the other matches taking place later today. Zeynep Sonmez against Tatjana Maria, I thought was quite interesting. Sonmez, the Turkish player, minus 150, Maria plus 120. Spreads 1.5 games, totals 21.5. Neither is in great form. Sonmez did have a couple of good wins at Wimbledon, but hasn't done much since. Maria, as we know, she seems to save her best for grass these days. She won the final at Queen's Club, beating Amanda Anisimova, and she's gone on to great things since. Yeah, I thought this was an interesting one because Sonmez is the better player on hard courts, but as I keep saying, Guadalajara is at altitude. So Maria's serve could be an asset here. Not a match I had an opinion on. Tim, any thoughts on that one?
Again, similar to you, Rory, like we say, Maria is probably more comfortable on like we say, with the grass courts that we saw earlier in the UK earlier in the season when she had some pretty good results. I mean, you look, Sonmez took a set off Kostyuk in her last match, and I think Maria didn't when they played it in I think 4 matches ago. So if you want to look strictly on a line through Kostyuk, which I probably wouldn't be doing, I mean, you could say that that's why they make Sonmez favourite, I would imagine. But yeah, I think a tough one to have a real strong opinion of. I think Maria actually played okay here last year. I think she had skimmed through qualifying, but I think she went out in the last 16, I think, after winning a few matches. But yeah, a difficult one to really be confident about. I mean, she is favourite Sonmez, and I think that's probably about right. But looking at those prices, I think they look pretty much spot on to me. So a difficult one to have a confident opinion. Maybe if I was having a lean, I would probably be looking at perhaps over on the games market. Perhaps both players having their chances, but yeah, a tough one to be confident, have a confident selection about, I think.
Martina Trevisan plus 148 against Rebecca Marino, minus 186. Spread 2.5 games, totals 21.5. Feels like a long time since Trevisan reached the semi-finals at Roland Garros. She's actually not long recovered from a foot injury, which kept her out for a few months. Her record since is 3-5. Marina's a good server, so the altitude could help her here. She was beaten by Ana Sofia Sanchez in the Guadalajara Challenger last week. These two did meet in 2018, and Trevisan won that, but obviously that was quite a long time ago. Yeah, Trevisan I don't know what's happened to her over the recent years. Obviously, she reached that semi-final at Roland Garros and hasn't really done that much since. Even on clay, where she did look really good for a time. Her career just kind of went into reverse a bit, Tim.
Yeah, it can happen to some of these young girls, can't it? For one reason or another, whether it be family pressure or just pressure of the tour, or just their sort of levels just dip after that sort of massive result. It's lots of factors to sort of throw into it, aren't there? And without being in there in the circle, you'll never really know which one. But certainly a fall from grace from where she was, like you said.
Yeah, another match. I think this one's priced up about right. I do like Marino, certainly on a hard court and the altitude. She is a good server, so I think that plays to her advantage. Emiliana Arango against Magda Linette. Next, Arango is plus 210, Linette minus 275. Totals there 20.5. The spread's 4.5. We saw Arango at the US Open. She was well beaten by Iga Swiatek in the first round. Magda Linette also went out in the first round, fell to McCartney Kessler, which was not a great surprise, but Linette's obviously achieved a lot more in her career. Arango, of course, will remember she reached the final in Merida earlier this year where she got double bageled by Emma Navarro. Yeah, again, this was one of those matches I thought was perhaps priced up right. Arango she's a bit of pushes a little bit hard, but she doesn't have a great deal of power. Linette's not a power player either. So I didn't think Linette could hit through Arango, which might make the Colombian competitive here. So I thought the spread was worth a look for Arango because I think, Linette's quite a solid player. They're not similar sorts of players. I mean, Linette's got a bit more to her game, but I thought Arango might be able to survive Linette's attempted winners on here. What do you reckon, Tim? I mean, Linette's not, she isn't blessed with great power, so Arango might be able to live with her.
Yeah, especially obviously she's played in that 1-2-5 last week as well. So she's sort of adapted to the conditions with Linette having come straight here from the US Open. So she should be sort of up to speed with how the courts are playing already. So if I was looking at getting involved in a game like this, I'd agree with you. Linette's not the kind of person who's going to overpower you and boss you off the court. So I imagine, is the spread 3.5 or 4.5? Or
4.5. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be looking. That's where I'd be looking if I was having a bet in that game, just because she's here already, settled in, and like we say, Linette's not the kind of. She's not kind of got weapons like a red bike and know exactly where she's just going to hit you off the court. So I think she can stand her ground in this one and make it competitive.
And finally, and just including this, just because Sloane Stephens, obviously a former Grand Slam winner. She's plus 185 against Lucrezia Stefanini. And part of the reason Stephens is that price is because she's been off the tour for a few months. And I think before she went off the tour, I think I'm right in saying she had 5 consecutive defeats. So things haven't been going well for Sloane Stephens of late.
Yeah, I've got 10 consecutive defeats.
Is it 10?
She hasn't won a game since the 1st of July, 2024.
Wimbledon first round. Goodness me. So obviously a bit of a question mark over her. Stefanini came through qualifiers here. She did fall in the first round in the 1-2-5 that was played in Guadalajara against Emiliana Arango, who we've just discussed.
Although she did win a title, didn't she, Stephens, that a few months before Wimbledon in Rouen, I think, in the indoor clay tournament, didn't she?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was only, sort of 16 months ago. So I know she's been doing a lot of sort of TV work now, but I imagine she took a wild card to get in here, isn't she? So
yes,
I doubt she's just here for a holiday. But
well, we saw Venus Williams. Where was it? Was it Cincinnati when she? No, it was Washington first, wasn't it? When she came back and defeated Peyton Stearns. So maybe we could see something similar with Sloane Stephens today, whose world ranking is now 1,051. Just on what we've seen from her in the last, just over a year, you wouldn't give Sloane Stephens much hope, but she is a former Slam champion. So that's our look at tomorrow's matches. We'll have a quick look now again, just quickly in play. And Renata Zarazua has taken the first set against Luiza Fullana, 6-2.
Glushko's had 4 set points, hasn't taken one yet,
Oh.
but she's still on juice. Still serving at 5-4.
Yeah, that's the match. So going on, this is in Sao Paulo. Lina Glushko plus 340. She is still, and Jones, Francesca Jones, minus 480. As you say, 4 set points squandered. And going with serve in the second set between Anna Sinclair Rogers and Panna Udvardi. Of course, you can bet in play and stream all the action live with Bet Rivers. Tim, thank you very much for your company. Let's just go over your daily double once more.
Yeah, we're going to take Kamilla Osorio to beat Kamilla Rakhimova at minus 112. And in the Kudermetova and Stakusic match, over 2.5 sets at plus 148.
Yep, and the daily double there pays plus 371. Thank you very much, Tim, and we'll see you again soon, probably next week, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
look forward to being with you again then. Thank you all for joining us. So it's not a bit slim pickings on the in-play front and the action, but this is just a bit of a quiet week after the US Open. Next week, things get back going. ATP back in action, as well as the WTA. So thanks again for watching Betting Weekly Tennis Live. I think it's Nigel and Mitch tomorrow, I would guess, but look forward to seeing what they can come up with, because it's a little bit dry at the moment. Hopefully they won't have a rain delay. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.